to another Kamikaze creation video. And you see her in the background, him, Barry returns. Bloody amazing, you know, the transformation in such a short period of time. I've had this car probably 12 weeks, I reckon, and a really good base of a car to do this to. Came out of the country family, had it in their fleet, and they were very meticulous about maintenance. It's just that it sat outside. Had a bit of hail damage and the paint had degraded, but you know, other than that, really good. So I've put some pretty big wheels on there. They're what are they, 18-inch rims, no, 17-inch rims by 8, and they're 225 tires on the front and 235s on the back. And because I've dropped it a little bit, the diff is out of alignment. So you can see on the floor there, I've got the panhead rod. Going to change out the original one, whack that panhead rod in, and that allows me to adjust the diff side to side to compensate for when you lower it. So that's what I'm doing, and then I'll adjust the struts, the rear struts for height, and then test it out again. She was scraping a bit coming home from the painters, and so I'm just doing that work straight up because I do have a car show on in the weekend that I'm planning on going to. So I'll show you what I'm doing. So here's the adjustable panhead rod that I'm going to put on it. I've had that sitting there waiting because I knew what I was doing, and Steve down at the tyre shop here locally suggested I put one of those on so I can realign the diff. So I bought one straight away, and now I get the opportunity to fit it. So that definitely looks a lot beefier and adjustable. So it's pretty easy. I adjusted the rod on the floor, took a measurement off the one that was in there, and basically got it to close to right, so I could get the bolt holes to line up. Then I sort of made some marks on the floor and adjusted it. So I'll show you those marks and how far I've brought it across so far. So I'm in the passenger side rear wheel well, and just adjusting the height of the actual strut. So these are fantastic. Basically take the bolt out that holds it into the diff. The diff just drops down, and undo the lock nut and screw this down to give yourself more height. So on this side, I'm measuring between the top lock nut and the bottom lock nut. When I picked it up this morning, we had to adjust it before I drove it home, but it was still scraping because the diff was poking out the other side, so I still got some scraping on the tyre. But I adjusted this side to 90, and when I went around the other side at the painters, it was already at 90, so I put it up to 100, and now I'm coming back to this side and I'll set it to 100 as well. So start on 100 both sides, and then adjust the diff position and check for any scraping. So I just put a square up against the tyre, same on the other side, and drew a line on the ground, and I've pushed the diff to the passenger side by 5 mil at this stage, and I'll sit it back down on the ground and have a look at it and see what it looks like at that adjustment. So I think I've got it near perfect. It's a little bit tighter this side than over this side, as far as like just putting your fingers on the tyre and feeling the guard. It's a little bit still to the passenger side, but good clearance, so I think that will be quite good. And I've got those coilovers on the rear now, both set to 100 mil between the lock nuts. So if we have a look at the side profile, see if I can get out here. If we have a look at the side profile, the back is a little bit lower, I think, than the front. So I'm going to do some adjustment on both the front coilovers now to bring them into alignment with the way the wheel sits in the back. I've been for a couple of runs down the road. Here comes Ruben the Wonder Dog. He likes the new car. We could call him the shop inspector. Watched a fair bit of full custom garage. But anyway, seems like he approves as long as he doesn't wee on a wheel. We're laughing. So I'm going to adjust the front down to bring it in alignment with the back. And I've been for a few runs and no scraping. Did the old supercar swerve on the road down the street to settle it all in, and brought it back in and measured it, and it looks pretty good. So the front to adjust is much easier. Just undo this locking nut and basically screw the whole shock down into the base. So I'm setting these at measured 58 between the nuts. So I'm going to take it down to probably 50, maybe 45, and sit it down and see what she looks like. So I'm back outside. I've done a few trips and it's settled in quite nicely. No rubbing anymore. You can see that tyre is sitting nicely inside the guard. Come over the other side. So the diff is quite centred. I moved it 5 mil first, and then I moved it back the other way 2.5 mil. So it wasn't out by much. And I also adjusted the ride height on all 4 corners, basically. One thing to note is I used a measurement between the 2 lock nuts that hold the spring, and you've got to make sure that spring tension is the same on all shocks that you're adjusting against. Otherwise, on the front, I took a secondary measurement where it sat in the bottom leg. So I got it level by doing that, and then I reset the tension on the springs. And the springs are basically sitting there, absolutely no tension on them, no load by those lock nuts, and then adjusted the ride height. So it's looking pretty good. I'm really happy with the way it's sitting. The front could still come down a little bit. I brought the front down about 15 mil and adjusted the back up probably the same, just to get that clearance. Come down and have a close look. It's still sitting quite nice in the guard, but it doesn't squeak and bounce, and it doesn't tear the tyre like this, because that's got a really big lip up in under there. The front's quite good. The front's like rolled guards, and it's sitting very nicely too. You can see about the height there, but these guards run up beautifully on the same profile as that tyre. So I could come down a bit more on the front. Anyway, that's Barry, first stage. I'll do a full video on the paint process. I've got, over 100 photos of the process of doing this car in paint, and I'll do a little slideshow on that. Thanks for watching.